classical menorah monument, the Jewish mass grave site, but behind it is truly one of the best Jewish memorials I have ever seen in my life. It's a facsimile of a Ukrainian synagogue. Done in the style of Ukrainian synagogues, with a lot of paintings on the wall and words in Hebrew. When I first came here in 22, I was completely shocked. It seemed like garish and a travesty, especially since it was right overlooking the actual ravine of Babyn Yar, which is just right down there. Kind of walked around in a frenzy, wondering what the heck was going on with this bizarre open-air synagogue right next to Babyn Yar, the ravine that held, where they killed about 40,000 the first day and another 40,000 the next day, and then they threw about another 80,000 fascists on top of them. And there's a crank here. And what does it even mean? It's like a book. And it can be cranked closed. You're twisting this, and here's the tracks. And you have to shut this, and you have to pull that out. And on these tracks, this impromptu little psychedelic synagogue is closed up like a book, but also like a suitcase, because the architect and the esteemed committee that decided on this design knew that there may soon come a time when the Jews have to flee again. And tragically, that time is now. Not in Ukraine, where they're falling in love with their Jews, especially their Jewish president, but in the rest of Europe, where they're abandoning both their Jews and Ukraine. So the Ukrainian synagogues have this tradition of painting and images left over from the Middle Ages, when Jews were trapped in ghettos and forbidden to leave or even see a tree. And they would paint trees on the walls of the synagogue, just as a remembrance, as they said, next year in Jerusalem, as a remembrance. And fortunately, human beings are capable of enlightenment and remembrance and memory and reconciliation and forgiveness. It's not often, it's rare, but after I first arrived here, I kind of ran around the whole site in kind of a frenzy, and there's a couple of other great memorials over there. What the hell was going on? And then I realized the Ukrainian teachers would bring their students, whether they're 6th graders or 10th graders or whatever, they bring them from, there's a metro station over there about 1 kilometer, and they would bring them through here, and they would bring them up here, and then they would position them here, and they would say, down in this little ravine was once 150 feet deep and much wider, and it was just filled to the brim with bodies. And then they would say, but We cannot be depressed because the Jewish people and the tradition of books and intelligence and intellectuals and rationalism has already survived for 2,500 years, and it will survive again. And then they would turn them around, they would say, and this is Jewish life, and this is Ukrainian Jewish life, and this is the way Ukrainian Jews practiced their Judaism for hundreds of years. It's thought that the Jews were actually the first Ukrainians. The ancient Ukrainian Tatars, some of them converted to Judaism around the 9th century. And the Slavic Ukrainian nation only came into existence around the 10th century. And the Jews and the Ukrainians have been in love with each other. Now, some hated each other and some killed each other, but those were always a minority. Those were the losers, the people left out of civilization. But the lovers, they loved each other. And that's why a friend of mine said that Lviv, half of Lviv, was half Jewish. Then he told me that his mother, after his father died, said that his father was Jewish. And about 3 or 4 days later, he told me 2 years earlier, his mother said that she was Jewish. So they hid. They hid in the farms. They hid in the sewers. They hid with their friends. They hid with their relatives because they intermarried. There were even Cossack Jews because the Cossacks grew grain, and grain has to be sold, and has to be sold in the marketplace. And the Cossacks figured, what the hell? And the Jews who liked horses and liked the wide open East, they married Cossack women. And they were Cossack Jews. And there's Ukrainian Jews, and there's Iraqi Jews, and there's Palestinian Jews, and there's German Jews. Why? Because we are the enlightened brother. We are able. And although you kill us, we still teach rationalism, and we still teach book learning, and we still teach beauty, and we still teach art, and we still teach dreams, and we still teach redemption, and we still teach transcendence. And no matter how much you butcher us and slaughter and kill, including your own children, because in your effort to exterminate your shadow, your other, your opposite, your intellectual, your rational, your dreamer, you cannot help but kill your children who are dreamers and who are gay and who are different and who love instead of hate. And so the dream continues, as we can see on the roof of the synagogue, with the crack down the middle because it's designed to be folded and transported like a suitcase to the next place where people will dream and have visions and create an honest, loving future. That place is right here now in Ukraine, because this is where they're fighting for democracy. And democracy means Judaism, because one God means one God created all humans equally. And that was the original religious metaphor that began liberal democracy. And even though that metaphor is being destroyed now by the evangelicals of the United States and the Orthodox Russians, that metaphor, one God, one people, one truth, one justice, lives on, and it will continue. No matter how much you butcher, you could just kill all your children. You could even kill the whole world. You could attempt to, but you won't succeed. And in the resurrection, in the Christ-like gnosis and redemption and revival, we will return. We lovers, we hippies, we intellectuals, we rationalists, we will come back, and we will be there to rebuild what you have destroyed. Even though you know about Babyn Yar. And so I say to you, my fellow friends, my doubters, the folks who hate, who feel that another genocide is going to clean the earth, I say to you, just say no to fascism. Just say no. We don't have to kill the fascists. We don't have to exterminate anybody. We just have to say no. What will create is truth, dreams, redemption, forgiveness, tolerance, and finally letting go of your incredible hatred of, you think it's the other, the Jew, but it's really your father, because your father failed to create a functional society for you. Unlike the Jews, who did create a functional framework through monotheism of a functional society. And you resent that. And it's perfectly understandable. But don't have a Holocaust just to finally realize how sadly mistaken you are. Just say no to fascism now. You can join us as human beings with all our flaws and all our doubts and all our troubles here at the beautiful Babyn Yar Synagogue. It was very nice to see you guys playing. What were you doing up there in the synagogue? You were standing up there and laughing and...
Like,
Because we want to take some photos.
some photo
very
and
funny photos.
no more.
I understand. That's beautiful. That's very good.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place to...
Yeah. We also
think that's very beautiful.
yeah.
You like this?
Yeah.
Yes, of
This
course.
look really cool
Interesting.
and interesting and
Yes.